Hello?
Hi, Frank.
Hello, yes.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Great. Great. What's your question?
What is a protagonist? What is an antagonist? What's the difference?
All right. So these are two terms in literature. So a protagonist is going to be a main character, and technically there can typically only be one protagonist in a story, but sometimes the word is used to describe central characters, and a lot of times there are a lot of main characters in a story. So the antagonist would be the main character's opponent. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be battling and fighting physically, but there may be some kind of conflict or struggle between these two characters. So protagonist is our main character, antagonist is the opponent. And that doesn't, again, mean that the antagonist is a bad guy and the protagonist is a good person, okay? But they're just going to be at odds for whatever reason. Conflicting, arguing, struggling in some way. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. We have an antagonist being sort of the opposition. Does the antagonist necessarily have to be like a character, or can it be sort of an idea?
It could be an idea. It could even be the environment, especially in naturalistic stories like Jack London stories, or even Into the Wild, or a new book called Wild that I'm a big fan of. The environment is a major antagonist in a lot of these stories that put people out in the wilderness or in the wild alone. So good call there.
Right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's go and check at our social media board with Antonio and see what we've got going on there.
We actually have another literature question.
Oh, no.
This one is, what is a character arc?
Oh, character arcs. Okay, so this is a little detailed, so I'm going to try to go into it as simply as I can. So a character arc is going to basically describe the way that a character shifts or transforms throughout a story or a novel, and we want to have dynamic characters that are constantly changing rather than static characters that never change. But both are really necessary in literature. So it depends on what the character is, what the story is, but typically, to just kind of give you a bare bones definition of character arc, would be you start with the beginning of the story and the character needs something, okay? And as they're going through the story, they may be learning, they may have an awakening or a coming of age, especially if it's a young adult story. They get some kind of enlightenment, and then as the story flows down towards the falling action, they might take a new turning point. They might feel some kind of renewal, and hopefully that changes them for the better, but it can also refer to them changing for the worse. If they start off a good guy and go through the story and experience things, they might become worse as a person. But the character arc typically just defines that change throughout their life, or whatever the span the story takes. So I hope that helps. But if you have any specific questions about specific characters and their role and how they change throughout the plot of a story, please send those in.